Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter, and we are cranking through on our challenges. It's Tuesday, and there are people hopefully jumping into the chat here any second. Cornell is in the house joining us live. I hope everyone's doing good. Let me know if you can see me out there. Let me know if you can hear me. Say hello and let me know where you are coming from. I'm very excited about today's Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. We got Andrea Perez is in the house. Sam Peterson is moderating the chat. And if you're new to the whole Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, let's talk about it real quick because that's a whole lot of fun. You can find all the information here at behance.net/challenge/XD. And there you can hit that big blue button and start out with the challenge. You can scroll down and get the starting files for today's challenge. It doesn't matter if you're joining late. If this is your first time, if you're a return veteran visitor of the XD Daily Creative Challenge, just get started. Just hang out with us, chat, and have some fun. And then post your work later on in Discord because that is where we're going to be looking and reviewing people's work later on today. With all that being said, hey, let's kick over to the challenge and to our starting file, and let's see what we got for the day. While Sarah Lou is jumping into the chat, Ariana S is jumping into the chat, and Sam Peterson is throwing in some helpful links for us. Hey, a little bit about the challenge today. We're going to be designing a UI for an augmented reality gaming dashboard, okay? So we're going to let users scroll through select games. We want to integrate them into the screen, into the scenario. We want to play with 3D transforms maybe a little bit today. That's going to be fun. So augmented reality, not virtual reality, where maybe I could hold up my phone and kind of project all of my games and this whole interface onto an area of my room. For instance, our starting artboard is a 1920 by 1080 artboard, and I have this nice big image of a living room that I got from Adobe's stock images. And what might not be included in your starting file, I'll apologize about this, is I went back afterwards and I created a special asset. So we have our living room asset that we created here, but then also what I went in is I just did a little bit of pen tool work and I just clipped out all the objects inside of our scene. We're gonna lay that on top of everything at the end so that it feels very much like everything is kind of like augmented and placed inside of our scene, and it's honoring the actual objects. So with all that being said, let's get started. Let's get cracking and see how things go. We want to do an augmented reality gaming interface, and so I have a couple of also besides those assets, I have a couple of game assets and images I might be using throughout my design today. But first, I want to click over to my assets and let you know that I'm going to be using Avenir for my text today. And I have a couple of icons, and I even created a little component, and that is a white box that just has a little bit of background blur to it. And what's cool about this is I just took the box. I made this right before I started the stream. I was like, hey, I'm probably gonna need boxes, right? And I wanna have this background blur kind of look probably. So I just went ahead and I made one, and then I saved it as a component by pressing Command or Control K. Now, anytime I create some sort of widget here on my dashboard, I can use the same exact style. So that's a thing you can do as well if you want to just have a consistent styling going on. So I tell you what, I'm just going to lay this out almost like a wireframe here. I want to have a leaderboard, I think, over here on the side. I'm going to pop it right here. And then you can see I'm going to extend it down past the objects in my scene. That way we have some fun. We're going to do some playful stuff afterwards, okay? So also, I want to head over to my layers panel and just make sure my background image is locked. That way I keep touching it and messing things up, okay? So we're gonna have a leaderboard there. And then I'm thinking over to the right-hand side, I just want to display a list of games. I think that would be the easiest thing. Now, what will be cool is when I tap on one of these games, so maybe something like this, and let's see, what's our spacing in between there? Is that a 55? Let's make that a 45 pixels of spacing, and then we'll get even spacing here throughout the whole thing. Let's just see what it looks like to line these things up. It looks pretty good like that. So we have 45 pixels of spacing in between. We could repeat grid here. Should we? I mean, we could, but we don't need to right now. Actually, why don't we just for the heck of it, okay? Command or Control K. I'm gonna lead this thing out here. We're gonna capture 2 of those and 45 pixels of spacing. What are we gonna do? We're gonna drag this thing down and get 45 pixels of spacing as well. And then why don't we just really quickly ungroup the grid. And we have a bunch of these. This could actually be cool. I could actually scroll these up maybe past the couch. So let's take all of these and group them together and call these our games. Okay, now what we'll do is in our repeat grid, I'm going to grab all of my images here and drag them in. And for some reason, and you know what, I think it's probably because they're components. What I want to do is I'm going to release all of these from the components really quick. So ungroup the components. It is in a repeat grid, or it was in a repeat grid. It's not anymore, is it? I messed up. Why don't I do that again really quick? I don't know what I'm doing today. It's Tuesday. Let's try this one more time. Let's do a little repeat grid there. Let's turn our 3D transforms off for now. We don't quite need those yet. And again, repeating grid, pulling that thing out and pulling a bunch of them down this way, grabbing our images, dragging them into our repeat grid, just like so. And then, okay, maybe we need to turn our background blur off for these guys. That works for us. And then why don't we, now we can ungroup the grid, I think. I don't think we need the grid anymore. Well, let's go back. Man, oh man. Let's go to our repeat grid and let's mess with our spacing. We want 45 on each of these things. 45 there and 45 there. Okay, now finally ungroup that grid. They're still all grouped together, which is great because that's going to allow us to do some scrolling, right? So we can do our vertical scroll here. Let's put our scroll bar all the way up at the top. So these will actually fly off of the screen. And why don't we, yeah, let's put these there right underneath the couch. Okay, so right now it's not going to look like much, but we can scroll up and later on we'll see our everything kind of tucked behind the objects in our scene, which will be pretty cool. All right, next thing we want to do, let's make our leaderboard. So we have this blurred box right here. Why don't we just do E for ellipse, and let's take the border off, fill it with a color for now so you can see it, something like that. And then we are going to add some text in here. So I'm going to hit T for text, and I'm going to just put a name here like Jennifer Halford. Okay, it's pretty small. Let's bump that up. And actually, you know what? We don't have to go too far because we can just grab Avenir right here and start playing with some of our sizing. Let's go back down to this one. I actually don't like that size. We'll go right in the middle there. Okay, so we have Avenir, and let's say we'll do another one down below, and this will be our 87,000 points or something. Okay, so we're just some sort of leaderboard, a generic leaderboard that we're building here. We're just going to turn that gray, and I tell you what, why don't we bump this from medium up to heavy, and let's bring the whole thing down just a little bit. That doesn't need to be that big, and this is about 23 pixels. We don't need that to be that big either, so let's make that more like 17. Let's make sure our text all left aligned, everything is rocking there, and we'll put the whole thing together and we'll make it a group. Okay, what we're gonna do next is within our group, I will most definitely repeat grid this thing, and I'm just gonna drag a bunch of those down and space them out. Now inside of my repeat grid, I'm gonna head over to a assets folder that I have. I'm gonna grab this name document. It's just a plain text document that has a bunch of names that are line separated. I'm going to drag those onto the name. It's going to replace all those names. I'm also going to grab a bunch of avatars. I got lots of them in here, and I'm just going to drag those into my avatar spot. Boom. Now we have a little leaderboard there. Now what are we going to do? You bet we're going to turn on vertical scroll, and we only want these to actually scroll inside of the container itself. Okay. Now when we come here, we can actually scroll up and down, and again, all this will be tucked behind the couch later. And our games, we want to be able to scroll up and down as well. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, what else can we do? So far so good. I think what we want to be able to do in our prototype is we want to be able to click on a game, and we want to be able to highlight that game, and then we want to be able to display some information about that game. Okay, so let's move over and start doing that. I'm just going to save my document really quick by pressing Command or Control S. Did you know you can save your documents either locally or as a cloud document? This one's saved local, but if I wanted to save it as a cloud document, that'd be a good thing to do as well, because then I'll be able to access it anywhere I am, no matter where I'm at, okay? Next thing we want to do is let's come up. Remember, we took all of these elements out of the game. Let's pick one of these that's going to be our featured game. Why don't we do Fall Guys? I'm really enjoying that game a lot right now. So let's just take Fall Guys. We'll put it up at the top. That's the one we want to kind of manipulate. And we also want to be able to tap on the leaderboard, I think, and maybe we could expand it and do something fun with that. So I'm going to take my AR dashboard and I'm just going to drag over another version of it, and I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna call this one game view. Okay, this is where we're actually gonna just start manipulating objects and maybe using some 3D transforms. But the first simplest thing we can do is we can take these elements and group them together. Let's call that leaderboard, like that, and let's make sure this other one is called the same thing. Let's group those elements together and call it leaderboard. Okay, so leaderboard is at the top of each one. Then we have our scroll group. Inside of our scroll group, we have our games list. Inside of our games, we have Fall Guys. We want to take every other one of these games, and we want to take the opacity of them way down, maybe like 15 pixels. I tell you what, let's do the same thing for our leaderboard over there. And then what we want to do is we want to make this much bigger. Let's pop Fall Guys up to be about that big. I want to tuck behind the couch a little bit. That could be kind of fun. I can always click inside because it's a masked image and grab that. And I tell you what, we're gonna have to do a little bit more, something like maybe 5 pixels opacity on the rest of these, because we really want some text to stand out here. Okay, why don't we take the text we had here in our repeat grid, and why don't we come over here and just dial in some stats about Fall Guys. So I'm going to paste that text, excuse me, and why don't we bump this up and make this nice and big. Now, I don't think we need this to be that big, do we? We can bring it down like that. Let's say Fall Guys. This is the title of our game. Right underneath that, let's get smaller. Let's go 79 is the size of our typography. Let's divide that by 2. Did you know that you can do math inside of Adobe XD? I'm doing it right now. I'm just hitting 79 divided by 2. Boom! And I get some easy typography, okay? Let's call this Battle Royale type game. And we'll change that from heavy to book, something like that. And then let's do a little description right here. So I'm just gonna make area text. Actually, let's do not area text, but let's do auto height text. That'll allow us just to pop this in here. I'm gonna go into my plugins and find content generator, and let's bring up content generator and just get a paragraph like so. Oh, I did percentage, excuse me. I want content generator. Let's try that one more time. A paragraph, not a percentage. That is a massive paragraph, and it's all jumbled together because our line height needs to grow, and we can actually bring the size of this text down. Okay, so that could be pretty cool. Let's just bring this up and make this even smaller, something like that, and let's bring the opacity of that down. Okay, so we're just creating a little description section for our game. Let's bring that and line it up to the top, and we want like a big call to action, so let's do a really big obvious button. Let's take the border off here, and let's use the blue out of the game and some text to play now. Okay, I don't know what kind of augmented reality this is where we're able to play Fall Guys right now like this, but it's looking pretty cool. Let's round the corners of it. Really simple button, and just a little bit less on this text. Let's make sure everything's lined up, group it together, make a component out of that button. And I tell you what, let's take all these elements, group them together, and let's go back to our assets, and we're just about ready to start doing some animating here. Let's call this game details. Okay, so we want that to pop out about there, and we want to make sure that it's present on the previous screen. So let's pop that in here, and let's make it go back and bring the opacity down. Okay, last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our Fall Guys game, and why don't we, as it's getting bigger, why don't we just do a little bit of three-dimensional kind of manipulation here? That could be fun. So just using some 3D transforms, we should see it pop out just like that. Let's try it. Okay, let's come into our prototype mode, and let's make sure we're clicking just on our Fall Guys thing there, and let's bring it over. And then I tell you what, why don't we just click on it again, tap on it to bring it back. Now when we tap on it, we don't want transition, we want auto animate to the game view. And why don't we do a little snap, and why don't we make it in 0.5 seconds, and we'll do the same thing back. So let's just grab Fall Guys, go back, and we have the same settings there. Okay, so again, we bring our prototype up, we're able to scroll through, these. I'm also able to click. Whoa, what happened? I don't know. Let's figure it out really quick. Yep, Fall Guys is there. What did we do wrong? Here it is. It's also there. Boom, boom. Just making sure we got game detail, leaderboard. We got game details and leaderboard. Everything should be there. I don't know. I'll tell you what. Let's take it out of the scroll group for now. All these games out of the scroll group. Just troubleshooting a few things here. The scroll group, let's bring the games out. Let's see if that works. Maybe the scroll group was doing something funny. The scroll group was doing something interesting with it. I don't know what that was all about. So now we have a little bit three-dimensionality coming out with our game. I feel like we should give it even a little bit more of that dimensionality. I feel like that's super fun. Okay, now the thing that we're going to have trouble with is that we need to now bring in another version of our background image. You're like, why are we doing that? I don't know. Watch, I'll show you. We're going to bring in our background image, Command-C, Command-V, and put one over there. And let's call this, instead, let's call this object, okay? And I'm going to go into my AR dashboard assets and grab my PNG, drag that in there. And what we did was we just dropped those elements now in front. You see what I did there? Now the elements show up in front of the games. Pretty cool. Okay. And then I tell you what, since we got rid of that scroll group, why don't we go into our games and let's just address our games here. We don't need these bottom ones. Why don't we just simplify this just a little bit like that? Let's go into games. Okay, good. Pretty cool. We don't need those bottom three, do we? Boom. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. But we do like our object. So let's just lock it in place. And you're going to see the prototype problem we're about to run into is that the tap trigger or triggers are not available. But look how nice it looks that the plants are in front of it now. How fun is that? And the couch is over it still a little bit. Oof, I like this a lot. But look, now when we go to our prototype, oh, we still can. Perfect. Our prototype still works, even though tap triggers are behind an element. I really, really like it. The only thing I'm not digging is the fact that we can still see our leaderboard. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring it down even more. Like, let's just get rid of it completely. And I feel like our game details, our button, I just want to come down and tuck behind the couch just a little. Like I do, but I don't, because it's bad UX to like hide a button. So let's just keep that there and just say we're not going to mess with that. I don't know. I'm having so much fun right now. This is so cool. Can we 3D transform some details here? What does that look like? Ooh, that could be fun. Let's move that down now and just, okay, let's try that. Okay, so look, now we're able to scan through our leaderboard, which is tucking behind our couch. We're able to click on our game and we get some 3D transforms that pop out of it. And because we have that extra object inside of it, it's literally hiding behind certain assets. And so we could just go back in and anything we want to kind of fix up, like maybe we want our leaderboard to extend all the way down to the ground. So it's kind of integrating a little bit more with our scene. Maybe we want that, like maybe it hits the floorboard right there. And then we take our scroll group and make sure that it scrolls all the way down to the bottom, something like that. And then we take our repeat grid and just make sure we have like a ton more people on our leaderboard. And then let's try to preview that. That looks cool. Now you can see everything's kind of tucking down. Now, if I would have done a little bit of Photoshop work, you'd be able to see it through the table. So I'd need to go back in and cut out those little areas. We'd be able to see through the table, but that's still pretty fun. It's like this nice, fun little leaderboard experience that's tucked behind elements. I also think, if I'm going to critique my own work, we could soften the edge of the objects, like the couch and everything. That would look a little bit nicer, but that's kind of a fun little experience. All right. Well, I think that is it for the challenge for the day. Just a simple little prototype using some 3D transforms and just creating this fun little AR gaming experience. I can't wait to see your submissions. Why don't we jump over to Discord and look at some of yesterday's submissions and do a little critique work and see what we got. This first one is from Megan. Remember yesterday we were doing a habit tracker inside of Adobe XD, the ability to actually complete or remove tasks. And so this one has a great little vector illustration up at the top, and Megan used 3D transforms even to display, which I love about Adobe XD now. Now you can actually just do some presentational mock-up stuff in 3D right there in XD and export everything out. Really, really fun. Great, simple little interface. I really like the integration of the cloud here. This is super fun, and the add a habit button is kind of like embedded right into that area. So that's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. Let's take a look at this. Horizontal scrolling for the days, and then we're able to slide one over and it removes, slide one to the right, it checks it off. Very, very cool. Add a new habit. Oh, and there was a blinking icon there. That was super fun. Great job, Megan. Great submission. I love that one. One habit tracker coming up, says Lucky. Let's take a look at this submission. Here we go. Clicking on a date and exposing those. Slide to the right. There they go. They slide up and out of the way. Boop, check those. Love that you have the multiple check states for each one of those. I'd be really interested to see if you used states and component states for these. That would be really fun. That's what I should have done yesterday. Let's look at this one from Drew Solorio. Sorry, might have said your name wrong. Oh, my habits. I like it. This is almost like a little bit more detail on each one of these. That's nice. A filtering system. Super fun. Clicking on one would give you the opportunity to then tap it, and then it just has this nice, this nice state of being completed in the green. One thing I think would be really cool, and maybe if you're still working on yesterday's concept, what you could do is create a progress bar. Like let's say you had 10 habits for the day that you're trying to complete, and then every time you clicked off one, that little progress meter or like bar graph would move forward closer to your completion for the day. That could be a fun little thing to add as well, and that would require some connecting of different components with component states. Let's look at this one. Selambung. This one is from Selambung. Is that how you said that name? I hope I said that one right. Okay. I like the color. Really clear, really crisp. Nice. Awesome. Let's go and just check some of the interactions here. Yep. Sliding over to one side or the other. Come back and the thing is filled in. I love it. Simple, easy, very, very nice. I'm wondering if you also dragged in an Illustrator file like I did to get these vector illustrations. Pretty cool. Very late. Oh, this is last two challenges. This is the sales page submission from Valentin Vasura. Let's check this one out. This has our nice notifications that were coming down, timed animations in between artboards, and the ability. Look, we were talking about progress bars. Look, Valentina did it. Every time she changed the quantity, the price changes as well. Let's look at that again. That was really slick. Not only were the notifications very smooth and nice, little social proof to get you to buy, but also, watch this. Ooh, that price is changing. That is absolutely beautiful. Hey, if you have any questions, ask those in the chat. We made good time today, so I'm not so rushed. So I totally could answer your questions. Let's look at, I really like this one. I think maybe in the previous stream, which actually let's take a look at the schedule because we've had some great content today. Right before me was mobile app design with Talon Wadsworth, who's on the design team at XD, and he was doing some really cool spacey stuff. Right after me, we have Design in the Dark with Simone and Andrew. So stick around for amazing content all day long here on Behance and Adobe Live. Okay, so this is our habit tracker. I really like the colors of this one. I really enjoy the color palette and the layout. I think it's super duper creative. Okay, yep. So we're able to click, tap slide over. Oh, little you got this statement. I like that. Delete this habit for the day. Yes, we want to delete it. Everything moves nicely. Interesting that the completed one went down to the bottom. That's interesting. All right, we got some interesting stuff going on there. All right, what else we got? We got time maybe for one more, I think. Let's take a look at this one from Sarah L, shall we? All right. Oh, look, Sarah L did a weekly summary, a little a bar, and it's not moving, but you get the point. That's the idea of what we're trying to accomplish. Really like subdued, minimal color palette, nice layout. I'd just say watch out. It still looks a little bit like, kind of like a wireframe. So maybe add some bold color to it, have some fun. And with that being said, we're talking about having fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge today. I can't wait to see you guys here tomorrow, same time, same place, and I can't wait to see your submissions inside of Discord. Or you can put them up on Behance using the hashtag XD Creative Challenge. We will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.